One reason China has been able to eradicate poverty is because of entrepreneurs like Crystal Kong. In 2015, she created Lock in China, an employment resource for Chinese who've worked or studied overseas and now want to return home.
You try to find the right position, you just send a resume, like 1,000 resumes, but not right positions. After, a couple months, they're disappointed, they don't know why. It just takes more time to try it until you find a job. We don't need them to take that long time to do this.
Crystal understands their struggle. In 2011, she returned to China after studying and living in Canada for a decade. But she quickly discovered finding work in China wasn't so easy.
When I return back to China, everything's fast, it's good. I see a lot of opportunity came out. But the thing is, I have to get used to the culture. I have to learn how to really work with the people with a very different environment here. And it's a lot of relationship, 关系. It's not the knowledge, it's not the experience. It's the science, how to work with the people here.
所以你这些都是背下来的代码是吗？
Crystal's company helps job seekers navigate the sometimes tricky Chinese employment landscape.
At this moment, we already have close to 50,000 clients post the positions on our website, and we have close to 300,000 members on our website to find a job. And more than 600 universities work with us very closely.
So it's sort of like a dating website, except it's not dates, it's jobs. It's bringing the two together in a sense.
You're right. We find the right people to the client, and the students find the right job for their career, yes.
The future.
The future.
What does it look like to you?
Well, at this moment, we have 652 universities work with us. They love to work with us with the new model. And the next step, we will open up the new branch in a different country, like US for sure, maybe 2 branches, and Australia 1, and Europe 1, and UK 1.
For nearly 4 decades, China has seen rapid economic growth. And while high-speed trains, skyscrapers, and billionaires have transformed much of the country, there's unbalanced development between urban and rural areas. So the government is taking more targeted measures to solve that divide. By the end of 2019, China wants to lift 10 million rural people out of poverty. Since reforms began back in the 1970s, more than 700 million Chinese have been lifted out of poverty, many moving from their small villages to larger cities, seeking success.
今天真的是太感谢你们两个了。
My name is Catherine. I'm managing a WeChat marketing company, a tech company in Beijing.
Catherine's childhood started in a small village. Now she works for a high-tech startup in Beijing.
If you would have told me when I was 8 or 9 years old that this would be my life today, I wouldn't have believed you.
Shenzhen Fan is the Director General of the International Food Policy Research Institute. His life's work has been to reduce hunger and poverty around the world. He says a number of things, from public policies to economic growth, helped China lift hundreds of millions out of poverty.
The Chinese reform started with agriculture to solve the food security problem, food and nutrition problem. In the meantime, the rapid agricultural growth also provided capital money for urban sectors to grow. The rapid agricultural growth also provided surplus labor. Otherwise, everybody was stuck in the agriculture sector. Everybody is working to feed themselves. So no surplus for urban centers. So initial reform in the agriculture sector provided these 2 conditions. One is capital, second is surplus labor to move out of agriculture.
That reform led to reshaping lives all across the country.
This is one of my favorite coffee shops in Sanlitun, and where I get croissants for my breakfast. I love croissant. You know, where I'm from is a very small village in Gansu province. Life is very different in Beijing. Beijing is just a place that changes so fast. It changes every single day. I myself lives here for 13 years and I'm impressed by what's going on, what's happening around me. You woke up, you open your eyes, there is another new building under construction, and there is another new coffee shop opening up. There is another cool brand that is coming soon. But when I was a little girl, of course, I could never imagine how life could be or how I would be and what I would be doing. I was born in a very small, or not a small, in a small town, in a cave. It sounds very harsh, but for me, it's actually, it's how everything was.
I think everybody is afraid of change, including myself. When I was 8-9 years old, we moved out from the cave into the houses. And that was the first time I felt very scared, very afraid of moving up, because it's hard for you to imagine, but actually when I was living in a cave, you felt very safe because you had basically an entrance to go in, and then you lock the door and then you have all the kind of holes on the wall, which is your room, but you felt very safe and very nice. It feels like you're well protected. And then actually when I moved out to the house, it was really scary for me because you felt like, the wind could come in from anywhere. People could just visit you at any moment they want. And especially during this deep winter, the wind goes on like whoo during night, and you feel like a bit scared because you don't know like what that sound means. It's a bit scary. And so for me, I actually appreciate the cave more than I appreciate the house. But of course, after 10 years, then you get used to the house, and then you're wondering, how can you just live in that little cave hole,
你可以看书，你可以看投影，想象吗？那大家有什么问题想问 Damon 老师都可以。
In 1986, China began reforming its education system, with the goal of implementing 9 years of compulsory education for everyone. After implementing adult literacy programs, the country has seen a literacy rate among adults 15 years or older increase from a little more than 65% in 1982 to more than 96% in 2016. Today, there are more than 283,000 primary and secondary schools in China, and more than 223 million students enrolled in primary, secondary, and higher education. That's more than the population of Germany, France, and the United Kingdom combined.
I have to say I have never expected to be working here, to be in Beijing, or to get such a job in a 40 people company. I worked in agencies or in large scale companies before, but I never could imagine that I could be here managing the people and working with so many young talents. I think, my mother is an amazing woman. Trace back, I sometimes think where people ask me, where do you get this character? Where do you get all this energy to do everything? And I'm like, well, I grew up seeing what my mother does every day. Even though my mother haven't been to school at all, she doesn't recognize any numbers, no character. Even when she needs to go to the toilet, she don't know which one is male, which one is female. It's terrifying. It sounds terrifying. It is terrifying. But I think she managed actually to educate us very well. And that's probably the incentive for her want us to go to school.
Catherine's mother died 9 years ago.
She was the one to have the leadership to lead everybody to say, we're going to do this year, and we're going to send all of them to go to school, and we're going to achieve this, for example.
While obtaining an education is considered the fastest way to achieving a better life, for those in poverty, it can be simply out of reach. They often must quit school so that they can work and help provide for the family.
Most of the kids in our town didn't really finish the high school or university because either they didn't have the chance or they just couldn't make it. Either because of the family was too poor, cannot afford it, or because they had to go back because of something else. No, my father, he was a tobacco farmer and he's still working on the farm, and later on he actually fixed people's shoes to make money for us to be able to go to school on a daily basis. And my mother had to join him because there was no other way, and because by only working on a farm does not meet the needs of affording the whole family. Yeah. So I don't think it goes along. And looking at things again, how I come from my background to what I'm doing today, and how I grew up in the cave, and also how did I work to make it to the city, smaller one, bigger one, and then to Beijing, until what I'm doing today.
In about 40 years, China was able to achieve what has taken other countries decades or more to accomplish. And while its path out of poverty is considered remarkable, some wonder if others can mimic its success.